For 15 years, anxiety, panic disorder, and agoraphobia completely controlled my life. I could not leave my house, get in my car, go run errands, go to work, go out with friends without being so worried that I'd have a panic attack. It literally would consume me. Never mind going on trips, adventures, doing fun things, I was limited in my day-to-day life. Like everyday life was so incredibly hard for me. And at one point, I remember laying on my bathroom floor with my mom holding me, and I was a grown adult, and I had just had a panic attack. And I said to her with so many tears streaming down my face, if this is what my life is going to continue to look like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I want to share my story with you because I know that maybe you have felt the same way, or maybe you're feeling this way right now. I know how hard it is to struggle with anxiety, panic, and agoraphobia. And I always told my mom, if I get through this, if I get better, I'm going to help other people. And today I have been recovered for 8 years now. And my life looks vastly different than I ever thought that it could look. And I've helped hundreds of people to recover from panic disorder and agoraphobia. So I just want to sit with you and tell you my story because I don't want you to feel alone. I don't want you thinking the same things that I did. Like I'm the only one who is struggling this bad. I'm the only one who is having these experiences, these thoughts, these fears. Like I'm crazy. I'm never going to get better. I don't want you to think and believe these things because you are absolutely capable of recovering. So I want to tell you my story, and most importantly, I want to share with you what helped me to get to where I am today. So I want to take you back to sort of the beginning because I was always an anxious kid, and you might also identify with this. I was the kid who just always felt nervous, on edge, like scared, and I didn't even really understand why, but of course, looking back, I can see it very clearly now. I grew up in a home with a parent who had very volatile behaviors, very unpredictable moods. I didn't get a lot of my needs met, and I honestly felt scared a lot of the times. So it made sense why anxiety showed up for me as a little kid, but the way that it manifested for me was that everything felt like a challenge. Going to school, I had tummy aches, I just didn't feel good, and I would often beg my mom, like, please do not make me go to school. I don't want to go, I don't feel good. And this continued from the time I was a little kid all throughout high school. And then when I landed in high school, I had my first panic attack. And when I say I had no idea what was happening, I mean I had no idea what was happening. I literally thought that I was dying. I was at a track meet and I was about to start a race, and I know you can feel those nerves, right? Like you're going to start a race. It was not even comparable. I instantly knew this is different. There is something really wrong happening. And I had to take myself out of the race. I went to the bathroom and I was just in full-blown panic mode. I was doing kind of what you see in the movies, like splashing water in my face, breathing, like hyperventilating, and I just started crying and I was like, what the heck is going on? And I felt so incredibly scared. And after that panic attack, it really stuck with me. I had developed the fear so quickly and so intensely of what if that happens again? And maybe for you, you can relate to that. You had a panic attack, you maybe did or didn't know what was happening, and your brain was immediately like, that cannot happen again. And that's exactly what happened to me. I quickly developed panic disorder and everything became really, really hard. At this point in high school, I really became so consumed by anxiety and panic and fear. And there were so many things that I did and activities and going out with friends, and I really started to pull inward and isolate and not go and do things because I was so scared that I would feel that feeling again. And my life started to revolve around how can I make sure that that doesn't happen? And like most people, when you land in this place of trying to make sure that you don't have another panic attack, you have lots of panic attacks. And this was true for me. I started experiencing panic attacks almost on a daily basis, and it was really making it hard for me to function, to go to school. I almost didn't graduate high school because I missed that many days of school. And I just remember going to my mom and saying, I have to do something because I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm barely functioning. And so thankfully, she took me to see a therapist. And I remember sitting down in that first therapy session, and they kind of just do the assessment, right? To gauge like where are you at in your history and like what's currently going on. And I remember at the end of the visit, she was writing things down on this slip of paper. And this was like decades ago. And so was handwriting things on this piece of paper. And at the end of the visit, she handed me the piece of paper and she said, okay, go take this to checkout. Our next steps, I want you to schedule another appointment with me, and I want you to see a psychiatrist to talk about trying medication. And I took that piece of paper from her, and I remember walking to the checkout desk, and I'm absolutely going to get emotional. I remember looking down while I was waiting in this line at this piece of paper and seeing my diagnoses: severe panic disorder and agoraphobia. And I remember standing there thinking, like, I know that what I'm struggling with is really hard, but this is really bad. Like, to see your diagnosis on paper of severe panic disorder and agoraphobia, I think it just all hit me at once. And I had already been feeling really helpless. I had already been feeling like, this is going to be the rest of my life. Like, how am I going to live like this? And seeing that on paper was so incredibly hard. And I remember I had my sunglasses on my head, and I just remember putting them over my eyes because I was bawling at that point. And I scheduled the appointments and just thought, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? And I got in the car and I just broke down. Like, everything that I had been holding on to, I think, for so long, like since I was a kid, just came pouring out of me. And so I continued to go to this therapist. I had the initial consult with the psychiatrist, and I did try medication. And this was the first time I had tried medication, and it really wasn't helpful for me, unfortunately. And it was something that I very quickly realized after giving it a full shot of like, okay, this is not the route that I want to go. So after that, I sort of just did the thing a lot of people do of, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I'm going to be okay. I'll power through. Like, I don't know. We'll just do the things that my therapist is telling me to do, and we'll hope that we get better. And I tried everything. Anything that promised maybe a little bit of relief. I remember trying gummies and different sprays and different calming techniques, grounding techniques, breathing exercises, changing my routines, my diet, exercise. Anything that anyone would tell me, like, this can be helpful and supportive, I tried it. And despite all the things that I was doing, and despite still being in therapy and working through things, I was still struggling with panic attacks on a daily basis. And I thought, there has got to be something else. Like, I cannot keep doing this. This is crazy. And I remember so much of my life was just white knuckling. Like, I was in college, I was working full time, I had so much going on, and I was just white knuckling and forcing my way through everything. And I remember getting in my car so many drives, just bawling, having panic attacks, calling my mom, saying, you've got to talk to me. I'm not okay. I'm not going to be okay. And this is where things really started to get hard, because for so long, I had just been trying to power through and not feel and still force myself to go and live life and do the things that I had to do. But internally, it was pure chaos. Going to work was so incredibly challenging. I worked in healthcare at the time, and I would have to be in meetings, I'd have to present, and there was so much anxiety that I could barely even sit there. I was constantly scanning for how I felt, constantly looking for exits, making sure I had a way out. And I remember having some of the most severe panic attacks I'd ever had at work, which, of course, you know, if you've experienced panic, experiencing it in public, at work, around people can be some of the most hard stuff you'll ever face. It also started to show up just when I was out with friends and even family, like people I felt completely comfortable, trusting, and safe with. It started to show up doing things with them. And one of the hardest things for me was driving. I had to drive everywhere, right? I had to go to work, I had to go to school. There were things that I had to do, and I really felt like I can't avoid driving. I've got to get in the car. And I always experienced anxiety and panic in the car. I was a little bit better if I was the driver, but if I had other people with me and I was driving, things got hard because I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't panic. What if I panic in front of them? That's going to be so embarrassing. And then it was also really hard for me to sit as a passenger because I felt like, oh my gosh, I have even less control as a passenger. If I do feel anxious, if I do have a panic attack, like what am I going to do? I can't just look to them and say, I'm freaking out right now. Driving was one of the things that I dreaded most. And it really had nothing to do with driving. Every time I stepped foot into a car, I felt stuck and trapped. And I worried about panicking, and I most usually always did panic, and I didn't want to experience that. And then there were things like being in stores and going grocery shopping, and I didn't want to go too far into stores. I didn't want to put too much in my cart because what if I had a panic attack and I couldn't get out quickly? Standing in lines was incredibly challenging. Being at restaurants, waiting for food, waiting just for things to be done, right? Like I was always living in this mode of rush, rush, rush. I can't be here. I can't feel stuck and trapped because if I do, I'm going to get that feeling and everything is going to be bad. So remember me telling you a little bit about me laying on the bathroom floor after having a panic attack and my mom holding me. I want to tell you a little bit more about that story. I think I had just been out with friends and I was on my drive home. And I got hit it felt like out of the middle of nowhere with that feeling of, oh my gosh, you're gonna have a panic attack. And for me, it always felt like this just whoosh that would run from like my head to my toes. I would get tingling, I would get super hot, sweaty, and then it would instantly start to affect me digestively. And then I would feel dizzy and off. And it was just such an adrenaline rush, which is really what a panic attack is. But that feeling, I knew it so well. And driving in my car, I was like, I just need to get home. And if you've experienced panic, you know this feeling. Like if I can just get home, if I can just get to safety, like I'm gonna feel better, right? So I was driving on this road that was probably 35, 40 miles per hour. And I started driving at least 25, 30 miles per hour over the speed limit, which is incredibly scary, of course, when you think about it. Like yes, was having a panic attack and I wanted to escape it, but I was like putting myself in danger by driving so fast. But I just wanted so badly to get home. I wanted this feeling to go away. And so I remember getting home, like bursting into the house and I was an absolute mess and crying. And my mom was like, "Are you okay?" And this is where I just had such a breakdown. And I remember her holding me. And this might be a little bit of TMI, but when I had panic attacks, it really would affect me physically. And so I often, like my body would release everything. Like I'd have to go to the bathroom. I would sometimes get sick, like vomit. And I remember being in the bathroom, right? And all of this had happened and my mom was holding me literally like a baby. And she was just looking at me and she's like, "It's okay, Shannon, you're gonna be okay." And I remember thinking, I don't want to die, but I can't live like this anymore. Every day is so hard and I'm trying so hard. And this just isn't getting better. And this is when I told my mom, if this is what things are going to look like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this. And so this was another one of my like low points, right? There were so many along my journey. It wasn't like I had one low point, but this was another one of mine. And I said, okay, I need to do something. I need to do something differently. It had been years since I tried medication. And so I went back, I saw a new psychiatrist, and I said, okay, maybe medication is something I need to consider. Like, I've tried so much, I'm doing so much and nothing is helping. Maybe medication will be helpful. And so I met with the psychiatrist. I tried medication. Again, it was not very helpful for me. It a little bit made me feel worse. And so I was just like, you know what? There's got to be another way. Like, there's something I'm missing. And trust me, I was searching for anything and everything. I'm like reading all the stuff, consuming all the things, like what is actually going to help me to get better. And if somebody could have told me, like, take this, do this, like, this is the magical fix, I would have done whatever anyone had said. But unfortunately, with anxiety recovery and recovering from panic and agoraphobia, there's not one magical fix. I so wish there were. But I remember going back to the psychiatrist after it'd been a little bit, and I was like, you know what, I really don't think this medication's working. Like, and I remember having the breakdown with her of like, there's got to be something that I'm missing. And she looked at me and said some of the most powerful words I had ever heard. She said, Shannon, I think what you've been doing for so long is trying to fight anxiety and trying to manage it. And she literally looked at me and said, fuck managing anxiety. And I was like, what? And it makes me so emotional because this was the first time I think anyone had ever said those words of, we don't need to keep trying to figure out these things to like make you feel better, make you feel calm, make you not feel anxious. Like, she basically was saying, screw the breathing exercises, screw the grounding techniques, like screw the worksheets. We're not going to keep doing all this stuff that we're doing. Like, you can get better, but you're going to get better by not continuing to try to manage anxiety. And she was so right. This was something that changed so much for me. This gave me a completely new perspective on anxiety and really helped me to see I've got to change my relationship with anxiety. I've got to change how I'm approaching it. I've got to change how I'm responding to it. Maybe I've got to let my guard down a bit and stop fighting it so much and stop trying to resist it so much and actually let myself feel it a little bit. Which I remember leaving her office thinking, oh my God, I have so much relief. Like, I feel like I can breathe. It's okay that medication didn't work, but oh my God, this is going to be scary. Like, this is going to be hard. I mean, this is a whole new way, right, of going sort of at anxiety. But without this, truly, I don't think I would be here with you right now. I wouldn't be recovered if I had never gotten this piece of advice of stop managing anxiety and actually let yourself feel it. And so it wasn't instant. I didn't leave her office and I'm like, okay, and now I'm gonna like accept anxiety and let myself feel it, and I'm gonna stop white knuckling and I'm just gonna release all this control. It took so much dedication and practice. But when I really started to do this work, I started to experience less anxiety, less panic attacks, and I actually felt hope that I had not felt in a decade. So I will tell you, the most helpful work that I did in my recovery was actually allowing myself to create a healthy relationship with anxiety and a healthy relationship with myself. It was actually giving myself permission to feel anxious, actually supporting myself through the anxious moments, and not continuing to try to throw all the things at anxiety and fix it and figure it out and make it go away. I truly never thought and believed that my life would look how it does today and how it has looked for almost the past decade. Like, being able to leave the house and not think about anxiety, being able to go to appointments and errands and do things with my daughter and go on adventures and just live without having that weight, that fear of what if I feel anxious? What if I panic? Like, it is the best thing in the world, and I will never take it for granted. So I want to show up here for you. I want to create these videos and give you the more of how I did this, how I got here, and what was helpful for me, and what things actually looked like, and what you can actually do that's going to give you this long-term healing, right? Not the anxiety hacks, not the quick fixes. Like, I want to help you to get that long-term healing. Because my life now, it's just so big, it's so beautiful. I experience so much peace and joy and freedom. And I'm not saying I never feel anxious. I'm a human being. Of course I feel anxious sometimes, but I'm a mom. I leave the house. I take my daughter places. I go on adventures. I hike. I do a lot of things solo. I do things that I never, ever imagined that I do. And I want to help you to see that that's possible for you too. So stick with me. We're going to do this together. And like I say on my podcast, a Healthy Push podcast, until next time, keep taking healthy action.